Biden is going to pick a woman as his vice president and running mate, and I do not care. Guys, this is a get ready with me because I'm multitasking today. I am getting ready for a patrons only live stream in a couple hours. It's going to be at 5 p.m. today because I do want to get this up the same day. But I wanted to talk to you guys about that Bernie Biden debate. I could barely even sleep last night. I have so many thoughts. I'm gonna do my best to maintain my composure because this rhetoric that I am still seeing from not so bright individuals about how Bernie can't win because he's a commie or whatever, especially since so many of these less than smart individuals have been directing this commentary at me under my other video about Biden and Bernie. Let's just say I've really had to work on my patience this week. There are 4 states holding their primaries tomorrow, one of which is Florida. As you guys are probably noticing, the sun is in and out today, so we're just going to have to press on. Anyway, even after the 4 primaries, we still have to go tomorrow. There's damn near 24 other primaries that still have to happen after that. So yes, times are dark right now in many ways. And to tell the truth, I don't even know how polling places are going to handle large gatherings of people right now. But this race is not over. And I care. I know y'all don't care too much, but I still care. Baby. And making a YouTube video probably ain't shit, but maybe it is. I don't have the biggest platform, but I'm gonna use this little one that I got. Damn, sun's really behind a cloud right now, and I should probably bust out the ring light, but baby, I ain't got the time today. With this primary, with this election, there are just too many people out here who seem intent on squandering this opportunity to not do the same shit that we've been doing over and over and over and over, and somehow expecting the result to be different. People whose only argument against supporting Bernie and his policies is, well, how are we going to pay for it? The Fed just pumped over $1 trillion into the stock market to bail them out from Ms. Rona f***ing up their bottom line. Meanwhile, it's damn near impossible for the vast majority of people to even get tested, let alone pay for medical care if they need it. So you can miss me with that how are we going to pay for it bullshit. They got the money to protect the corporations and the banks, so why not us? Quiet as it's kept, you can bet your ass that the rich, the Tom Hankses and Lucien Granges, they're able to get tested and treated easily in this crisis. I was talking to my friend about this, and she made a perfect comparison. She said, it's the Titanic, lifeboats for the rich. The 1%'s ability to continue to hoard such wealth comes at the expense of the 99% suffering. There's money. And this over $1 trillion bailout is a prime example of that. I did this on my last video, but I'm gonna do it again. Tiffany Ferguson did an excellent video about Bernie Sanders. I'll link it here as well as in the description box. I mentioned it last time and I'm bringing it up again because she did a deep dive on how Bernie's proposals actually do make sense and how they can actually work in the real world. And across the board, her videos are always so thoughtful and so good. So please do check it out if you haven't already. Back to last night's debate. The bombshell of the night was that Biden is going to pick a woman as his VP and running mate. Ugh, the pandering of it all. Just like, I'm gonna pick a skirt as my VP. Huh? Like that? It's good, right? Do yourself a favor and just search Joe Biden allegations. There have been at least half a dozen instances where women have come out and said that Joe was acting out of pocket with them. To be clear, he hasn't been accused of anything as severe as actual assault or harassment, but his conduct has still been called into question repeatedly. Basically, he's just gotten creepy with women on a number of occasions. And he refused to even apologize. And while we're on the subject of his treatment toward women, lest we forget to speak 2 very important words, Anita Hill. I will find and link an article detailing Biden's history of creepiness and perhaps more troubling, his inability to even see where he's gone wrong in these various interactions. He just strikes me as the type of guy who has started sentences with, listen, I support Me Too and everything, but, you know, just that aging frat boy energy of saying something or behaving inappropriately toward a woman and then responding with, what, I can't even compliment you? What, are you on your period? Picking a woman as vice president is fine. It's great. It would make history. But in and of itself, it addresses 0 problems. What woman are we even talking about? What are her policies, her ideas? And is her record as shit as yours is, Joe? Lashes, BRB. Okay, I caved and did grab my ring light. It's not even set up correctly. It's just literally on a table over here to try to get some more light in the room, but Whatever. When they turned the question on Bernie as to whether he was going to select a woman as his vice president and running mate, I felt like they kind of painted him into a corner a little bit. It reminded me of those trap questions like, are you ever going to stop hitting your kids? Yes. I mean, no. Bernie's response was fine with me, though I'm sure that many people are probably painting his response as non-committal. Frankly, I think he probably felt a bit silly being asked such a question after what was an obvious stunt answer from Biden. To be perfectly honest with you, I have always imagined that Bernie would have a woman as his running mate anyway. Perhaps that's incorrect and I'm just completely wrong that he had or had ever had that plan. I'd still fuck with the Sanders-Warren ticket heavy if they can bury the hatchet. Unfortunately, Warren's attempt to smear him and paint him as a misogynist backfired on her campaign in the worst way. Perhaps the biggest misstep of a campaign that was overall managed very, very poorly. Biden is very much trying to draft Bernie supporters based on his posturing at that debate, flip-flopping on his past stances, just continuing to be inconsistent as all get out. It was honestly just hard to watch on account of all the bullshit. I can look at this guy and just see plain as day that he doesn't mean anything he says. Biden avoided answering so many questions last night. It was textbook politicking. It's a good thing that at least his teeth were staying in his head last night so he could lie through them. One of the things that stuck out to me the most was when he said, what people want is results, not a revolution. Of all, speak for yourself, Joseph. And considering the way some folks are acting out here in these streets, you might be getting a revolution whether you want it or not. More to the point, it is nonsense to act like people want results but not revolution, as if these things are mutually exclusive. As far as I'm concerned, they're mutually inclusive. The former is not achieved without the latter. Bernie seemed to try to take a very soft approach last night, rather than going for the kill with Biden, even though he very well could have. The deck is very clearly being stacked against Bernie, and I imagine he doesn't want to alienate possible voters by applying the full pressure of his foot to Biden's neck. Or maybe he's just seeing how not good things are looking and he's just feeling low. I know I sure am. This is an extremely dark time in human history in more and more ways each and every day. Every day I'm wrestling with seeing this country just throw away an opportunity for real radical change. So I make YouTube videos, hoping that maybe, just maybe, I can reach some skeptics who don't think that Bernie can do this, hoping that maybe I can change some minds who say that he's too radical, I guess. By the way, radical is not even an inherently bad word. And based on how crap things are right now, I think radical change is necessary. And how pathetic is it that it has been so widely accepted that things like healthcare for all and stopping tax breaks for billionaires and corporations in favor of raising the minimum wage, these things are seen as radical. When you get down to it, Bernie's policies are just based on being a decent human. They're policies that are based on making sure that we can all have enough instead of letting the gap between the 1% and the 99 grow ever wider. Like, that's radical? Get me out of here. Speaking of avoiding questions last night, I gotta be fair, Bernie also straight up did not answer the question as to why he does not have Black support. And to be honest with you, I don't 100% know the answer to that either. I mean, obviously, I'm Black, and I'm a Bernie bro. A Bernie bro with a fro, as one of y'all coined in the comments under my last video about why Biden is trash. And I took a lot of comfort in talking with so many of you guys in the comments who are other Black women and Black men who also support Bernie. So the lack of Black support seems mainly to be a problem with the older generation, with our parents and grandparents. And even coming down to our younger generations, we don't discuss how archaic some of the belief systems are in our communities as Black people. And I think that has a lot to do with this support for Biden. People out here trying to dismantle the master's house with the master's tools, putting Biden in office. It ain't gonna work. I mean, I do think it's fair to say that the entire system, our entire democratic process, is master's tool. I get that. So having conceded that, Shouldn't we then support the outsider? The candidate who has, for decades, acknowledged that this is the case and that major changes are needed? People out here trying to legitimize Biden simply because he's always been a Democrat? That scores 0 points with me, and frankly, it's rather mindless reasoning. People out here making blanket statements like, I'm voting for the Democrat, while knowing nothing about Bernie's policies or his track record except for things they read in Twitter memes. Bernie is obviously in the Democratic primary, but he is a Democratic-leaning independent who's just playing the game that he has to play to succeed in this garbage two-party system. Democrats and Republicans ain't nothing but Crips and Bloods. I'll take neither. I also occasionally hear from Black people who don't want to vote for Bernie because he's racist. Oh, so that was Joe Biden who was arrested for protesting segregation during the civil rights movement? No. That was Bernie. Biden was probably busy supporting anti-integration legislation and couldn't make it that day. I also keep seeing critiques that reparations are not a part of Bernie's platform. Are they a part of Biden's? Since when? Because I missed that. Neither candidate is running on reparations, so it's a wash on that issue. And staying home from the polls and protest because of that and that alone isn't just short-sighted, it's absolute wittery. The idea that Bernie is not electable is being treated as this mystical thing that's been ordained by some oracle. In reality, it's propaganda largely from the DNC. Though corruption does run rampant, and we're seeing it again with the DNC's machinations to torpedo Bernie just like they did 4 years ago by perpetuating these narratives that he is unelectable, the truth is that Bernie is electable if we elect him, and if we educate ourselves on his actual policies and proposals instead of swallowing the horse that Biden and the old guard are feeding us. They've somehow managed to convince people that something very possible is impossible. The onus is on us to do the research and stop believing everything they tell us in the mainstream news. We need to be voting in the name of our interests, not in the name of fear. Vote in the name of ethics, in the name of compassion. We have to actually show up to the polls and vote, and stop underestimating our power even in the face of voter suppression and God knows what other shadiness they're doing. Bernie Sanders can win in the general. Biden is not the better choice to go against Trump. If you think Trump versus Hillary was bad, that was a fucking warm-up. Biden will get destroyed, even if Biden is able to defeat Trump. Because if he gets the nomination, hear me when I say that I hope I'm wrong about him being unable to win against Trump. But even if Biden is able to defeat Trump, that's still not as big a victory for us and for this country as it would be with Bernie. Hillary Clinton said not too long ago that no one likes him, referring to Bernie. She was trying to defame him, but if anything, that made me like him even more. It confirmed for me once and for all that when it comes to Washington, Bernie is a true outsider and in the best way. Trump won because he was an outsider in the worst way. That is why it is so clear to me that Bernie is obviously the better choice to go up against him. The way to get Trump out is not by going back to the same type of leadership that got people to support Trump in the first place. And now all these former candidates from the primary, Beto, Buttigieg, Booker, Yang, all of them have come out to endorse Biden in the past few days and weeks, and they look like big dumb frauds. You guys, what happened to Biden being a step backwards? I thought he was racist, Kamala. Why are you supporting him now? These politicians are so ashy. Get out of my face. And the people who keep telling me that I must want 4 more years of Trump simply because I'm a staunch supporter of Bernie, grow a brain cell, because the one that you have right now is getting lonely. Better yet, please produce the timestamp in my other video where I said that I would be abstaining from voting in the general election if Biden is the nominee. Please, I'll wait. The first thing I said in that video was, and this is verbatim, y'all got me fucked up if you think I'm backing Biden as the nominee. Which is true, and it will always be true. Y'all aren't gonna catch me coming out as a Biden bro. But I never, and I mean never, said that I wouldn't be voting in the general. And if your question then is if that means I'm voting for Trump in the general if Biden is the nominee, that's not even gonna get dignified with a response. I have voted in every election there has been since I became of voting age. So your lack of listening comprehension is not my problem. Seek therapy. This is the primary. It is our only opportunity to actually vote for the candidate that we truly believe in, rather than being beholden to party lines and voting blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who? Does that sound inspiring to you? I fully agree that getting Trump out of here is of paramount importance. But the DNC already fucked this up the first time, and they're doing the same shit all over again. I don't know about y'all, but I am not accepting defeat before the battle has ended. I shared this under my last video, and I think I'll do it again along with Tiffany's video. Vox did a write-up on how Biden is essentially Hillary 2.0, so I will relink that below in the description box. Until this primary is over, it ain't over. And Biden is a terrible, unfit, embarrassing choice as the Democratic Party nominee. Period. End of sentence. Things do not look good for Bernie in this race, I know, and that means that things don't look good for this country. But, and I said this in a live stream that I did on Saturday night, I need hope to live, so I'm not giving up. I'm gonna put on my list stick and I'll be right back. All right, fam, your girl is ready. Thank you for hearing me out and letting me get all of that off of my chest. I also want to say what's up and welcome to all the new members of the NAP fam. Quite a few newbies have joined us since my last video on this primary and this election. And I am so happy to be connecting with more of you who understand the importance of this opportunity that is this primary and this election. I gotta run because I do have my Patreon live today at 5 p.m. So I'm gonna try to speed edit this and get this up. So yes, if you are part of my Patreon notification squad or ride or die tiers, hopefully I will see you guys at 5 p.m. Pacific. But until my next video, I just want to remind you of something that I read in a fortune cookie, and it said to never trust anyone with a Morphe code. Bye-bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.